We all know that every year life gets harder, but it's not always added equally. Some years we have pain that hasn't been resolved. Some days we have sharp physical pain that won't go away. But we can't let these moments define us. This is what I learned so you don't repeat the same past mistake I was led into. In the last 4 years, I'm surprised at how quick life changes. The start of the decade led us in disbelief. We felt as if the world was ending. Life had almost ended, but in these moments of fear, changes arises. We are built to endure many challenges. When we plan, we can predict what we think might happen. Let me repeat that we can predict what we might think will happen, not will happen. Whenever we are tasked with a difficult task at hand, we have two options. We can either climb up the ladder or we just quit and let others climb on us. You might be thinking to yourself, this is so hard. But if we really think for a second, sometimes the best scenario we could do is let things happen even if it's going wrong. Allowing ourselves to experience failure can be a valuable resource because when we ground our beliefs, it can remind us of fallibility of our predictions. This in turn, we embrace fluidity and enables us to adapt, learn, and change when we are met with uncertainty. It lets us see what happens when we predict what we think will happen, and this grounds our beliefs knowing that any moment we are wrong. The reason why you could do whatever you want in your life is when we age, we experience pain and pleasure. When we build enough pain to the desired outcome and pleasure to having the want, we become unstoppable. We can make the vision possible, and by answering the question, how long do I want this to take? We can make ends meet faster than we think because the desire is so strong. If we keep going and meet ends meet with having consistent and proportional work, all while even learning about how to make a key distinction about what is working and what isn't working, we can formulate a successful formula. So be it that life gets harder with age, relationships, finances, time, emotions, and mental health, but you are what you make it. We have to be committed to the mission, even if all of those conditions, because when we slip, we have to we have to put in an even larger deposit than we initially put in. This could range from having too much debt, being in negative people, making poor decisions that either puts you in danger or others in danger. But the beauty of this is that when we are almost at that end port, or I like to say rock bottom, we form objective decisions about where they are and what they really want in this breaking point. We want another decision so we don't repeat what we just went through. Yet, nowadays, we rarely have these moments. We are bombarded with so many distractions that we are glued to a person's high point when we are at our low points, and we put excessive need to compare when we don't even stand a chance. But don't worry, all you have to do is to make a decision and stand by it. When we don't do this, we get controlled by others and we don't know where we stand. So we distract ourselves because in the moment we want to hide. I know when I was in this state of mind, I wanted to hide and numb myself from all the pain, but I knew deep down that something was missing. I was running around in circle trying to chase the next things someone else was trying to achieve because someone else told me to. I didn't know what I wanted, and so many people fell for the same trap I was led into. This is why it is necessary in order to have a plan for your life, because if you don't, another person will. We can we can all want the best for ourselves. Whether it could be to have a high quality relationship with the girl of your choosing, to have more wealth, to have more fame, to be authentic, whatever it is, we have to commit and unlink our emotions and thought process in order to start acting upon what we need to get done. The reality is, we don't have that much time. Some people say that when we are young, you have all the time in the world, and yes, to an extent, that is true. But the problem is, at this age, we weren't educated to the extent we were when we are in the 20s and 30s. Knowledge is power, and the way we use it sets us apart. I know it's difficult to work a 9 to 5 and still continue to work on your mission, but believe me, if you don't, it will become so much harder to climb. 20 years ago, we could have one job and work 15 years to make a pretty good financial income. Now, with the rise of inflation, it is so much harder to make a good financial income, and yet we have to expend more time, more effort, and more energy in order to achieve the baseline minimum. Because if everyone else is working so much harder, I'm gonna be forced to work so much harder to stand out. With this problem, it's like we are trying to squeeze as much output as possible out of something that has already been squeezed heavily. And this problem is so devastating that it leads people to the extent of burnout and exhaustion. The 20s is the best years of your life because you are young enough where you can learn and understand lots of things, and young to the point where you don't have body aches and physical pain. For some, we might be exploring new countries, studying abroad, and learning the concept of culture, delving into hobbies and interests, or maybe even making your own business. We often prioritizing taking these risks, yet we take that for granted because we let someone else control us because we didn't know who we were going to be. Sometimes we put things off for the size for experimenting with new things, even if it might be dangerous, the curiosity lingers, and because we don't know until we try, we end up being in the same spot. We have to be careful of what we are coming across against. Don't let people control you. Don't let your emotions control you. Stay clear to the mission. Time is our most valuable resource. It's becoming ever so difficult to balance a work-life relationship. But when we figure out how to manage the work on top of mental health, on top of relationships, while working on physical health, family, and self-worth, we achieve bliss. This subtle moment of realizing where you are influences what we link pain and pleasure to. These years of your life will be the best because we met so many people that have influenced us to make the decisions where we want to be. Maybe if you're lucky, you might even find the right person who will put everything on the line for you. The best part about living is that when you are in control of your pleasures and pain and always have ways of controlling them, you can control your belief structure and form new ones to achieve whatever you want in your own possession. When we let go of emotions and choose to favor our purpose, something fascinating happens, and that is we can shapeshift our day to how our day will look like. Eventually, we learn to condition our minds, bodies, and our bodies to link pain and pleasure to whatever we can choose, and this structure is what can assure us that we can do anything. With each passing year, the freedom to pursue is what makes us stand out. Despite all of the risk that is involved, when we endure and stay clear to our passions and our ambitions, we can navigate through life's complexities. The journey will be daunting, but when you are faced with making a decision, remember that rejection is only for a little while not making a chance is a forever decision.